Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. Antonio Brown is so bad, he gives O.J. Simpson nightmares. Perna.
I sleep with my TV on, and this morning, I thought I was having a nightmare. I was hearing the name Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown. You know, I drafted Antonio in my fantasy league, and trust me, it became a nightmare.
O.J. Simpson's nightmares, a place Freddy Krueger won't even fucking go. So congratulations, Antonio Brown, for being the first. Actually, OJ had an ingenious idea on how to evaluate Brown. I will reveal that today and then expound upon it like a true fake sports anchor. Then we'll get into some other NFL news like the firings that won't happen in Atlanta, how good Fitzmagic has been, Jameis Winston wanting more money than he's ever been worth. But first, let's reset that AB work accident clock back to 0.
And the NO Zion.
What's good, man? What's good?
Look, if the Pelicans are trying to teach Zion how to walk and run, maybe the Saints can teach AB how to talk.
And the NO Zion.
What's good, man? What's good?
Who the hell knows? That's good. Sports. If you'd like your YouTube feed littered with football videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Today, I do have big dick Patreon shoutouts. The Patreon only video for all $5 patrons will be up Thursday. We are answering all of your questions, Will Keys and I, so keep an eye out for that. Shoutouts. I hope you're happy, Perna. I am. Al the BDP and Tom Brady hater. CEO of Money, Ross Roper, and Sex Panda 69. Thank you guys so much for your fucking money. Jameis Winston is currently asking for more than $30 million per season. Fuck you, Jameis Winston. If Tampa Bay pays him anywhere close to that, they will instantly become the dumbest franchise in NFL history. Multiple people have already pointed out that $30 million per season would mean the Bucs are paying him for about $1 million per interception. My advice, Tampa, franchise tag him at $24 million next season and then dangle a long-term deal in front of him under the condition he throws less than 12 interceptions. Something he's only done once. If not, just go sign Marcus Mariota. Now, a fire alarm went off during the Adam Gase press conference today.
Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
I guess we'll continue later. Any more questions?
Which means in addition to the players and the fans, now the building itself doesn't even want Adam Gase in the building. We also learned this last week that Adam Gase has two favorite sayings, which are, "My give a shit meter is low" when it comes to critics, since I've got enough money in the bank now thanks to Christopher Johnson. And also, "I am rich as fuck," which has become Gase's go-to line since taking over 11 months ago, according to sources per the New York Daily News. Glad to see Adam Gase continuing the long tradition of bragging about how much money he has every time his job performance is questioned. Vince Lombardi, Don Shula, and Bill Parcells, all famous for saying, "I'm rich as fuck now." It's what makes a good coach. Now the Cowboys have to beat the Washington Redskin Potatoes, in addition to the Eagles losing to the Giants to sneak into the playoffs. That task should be even easier than imagined, as Washington will be without safety Landon Collins and rookie standout receiver Terry McLaurin. If Dallas loses to Washington without Collins and McLaurin, and the Eagles also lose, it might literally kill Jerry Jones, which also might be the only way the Cowboys rid themselves of Jason Garrett. And today's big story, disgruntled and possibly Janoris Jenkins' favorite word, Antonio Brown, has visited the New Orleans Saints for a workout, or what I would call a CIA-level psychological evaluation. Now, we all know Antonio Brown can play football, and no doubt he would thrive with Drew Brees throwing him the ball and Michael Thomas on the other side. But how do you evaluate him mentally? OJ?
I understand. How do you evaluate Antonio Brown? You know he can run routes. You know he has the mental acuity to pick up any offense. That's what's made him great. So what do? Do you put him in a room full of laptops and TVs and make him read all the Twitter trolls dogging him? Listen to these announcers and pundits talk about him and see how he reacts? I don't know.
He's right. Just put AB in an observation room with his phone and a computer screen with the screensaver of white women, and then leave him alone. Give him a coffee and some candy and say, hey, we'll be right back in a few minutes to talk about how much money we want to offer you. Just sit tight, Antonio. Then do not return for at least 2 hours and observe him behind one of those two-way mirrors like in an interrogation room. See how long he can go without tweeting something incredibly stupid, or if he swears off of Puerto Rican women in 2020. Just make him bored. When AB gets bored, AB gets dumb, and make sure his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is not in the room to control him. Treat him like the convict he probably is. If he passes that test, you might be okay to sign him. Now, I've talked ad nauseum about how I don't think Antonio Brown should be in the NFL, and I don't even take the rape allegations into consideration for that conclusion. He's not right. If those allegations are true, he should be in jail. If they are not, there's a dozen other reasons you don't want to employ him, starting with the fact known murderer O.J. Simpson seems more put together than him.
My bad, though. This is pretty freaking low.
Plus, AB literally told the NFL to fuck off, reminded everyone Robert Kraft requires slippery fingers up his ass in Florida, and called Mike Mayock a bitch, or a cracker, or a bitch cracker, or maybe a Ritz cracker, which isn't as bad. The point? None of us would be employed if we did any of those things, no matter how great we are at bussing tables, accounting, or sticking our arms up a cow's ass to see if it's a steak cow or a milk cow. That said, if Antonio Brown helped the Saints beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I support his return effective immediately. That's how shallow I am. If the Saints sign him, it's been reported Roger Goodell will put him on the commissioner's exempt list, which means he can't play until his rape investigation concludes, which has all of us wondering, why would the Saints even bother with him if that's true? Do they have inside information about the investigation that it might conclude shortly, quickly? Or is the thought of him and Michael Thomas commanding the attention of at least 4 defenders on every play just too damn tempting for Sean Payton? Only time will tell, or something. Now, the Falcons announced that head coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff will be back for the 2020 season, and Raheem Morris will be officially promoted to defensive coordinator. Now, Morris functioned as the secondary coach and assistant head coach this last season, and I believe in that role he eventually took over calling the defense, or co-called the defense on game days with Dan Quinn. After the Falcons started 1-7, many believed that Quinn and Dimitroff were on the hot seat. Turns out that was just crabs. And I think this is the smart move for the Falcons. They seem to be trending in the right direction, and Dan Quinn, despite having little success post 28-3, doesn't seem like an idiot. I really just think this team has been reeling since Kyle Shanahan left. The good news is they're going to have a fairly high draft pick. The bad news is they have no cap space as it stands in 2020. But again, the good news is all of the talent they wasted this year will be back for 2020. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league since week 6. He's thrown just a beard hair under 3,000 yards, put 18 touchdowns into the end zone, which ties him with Aaron Rodgers for 8th most. He still threw 9 interceptions during that stretch, but this gives me hope the Dolphins can actually pull off their yearly upset with a win against the Patriots Sunday. Fitzmagic will either throw 3 touchdowns Sunday or 4 interceptions, maybe both. Monday Night Football, in addition to dominating the Monday night airways, had its highest percentage of viewers in these cities: New Orleans, San Diego, Richmond, Las Vegas, and Denver. Maybe you don't give a shit, but I found this list really interesting. Saints fans were clearly just watching to see which creative ways NFL officials would screw them. And then all the other weeks to see if the NFL officials were also screwing other teams. One of the few examples where you truly hope you're not the only one getting screwed in the relationship. 3 of these cities don't even have football teams, which just shows Richmond loves football, San Diego misses football, and Las Vegas indeed is ready for some football. Denver at number 5 is interesting because the Broncos played in one Monday Night Football game, and that was week 1, which leads me to believe Broncos fans were desperately seeking good football anywhere Joe Flacco wasn't playing. The most interesting thing, though, is the truth finally came out. Football fans will tune in for a train wreck more reliantly than all other sports fans. Maybe ESPN knows what it is doing with Booger McFarland after all. Now, have you ever heard the phrase, history repeats itself? Nowhere is that more true than in the NFC. We know the 49ers, Packers, and Saints all have 12-3 records, and one team, probably the Saints, will be on the outside looking in for that first round bye if all 3 teams finish with a 13-3 record. The NFL has only had 3 13-3 teams in the same conference one other time, which was in 2011 when the Packers, 49ers, and Saints had 3-13 records, and the Saints got squeezed out, forcing them into Wild Card Weekend, which might be another reason they are looking into signing Antonio Brown. Baker Mayfield will become the first Browns quarterback to just start all 16 games in a season. The first time in 18 years. That means the Browns have gone more years with 18 than games in a season 16 with a QB to not get benched or hurt, or in typical Browns fashion, getting hurt while sitting on the bench. Last season, of course, Baker Mayfield set the rookie touchdown record with 27. Quite impressive, as Baker only started 13 games, nearly 14 with his debut against the Jets. Giants rookie Daniel Jones could tie Baker Mayfield with 4 passing touchdowns Sunday. Given Jones threw 5 touchdowns last week, and that he's playing the Eagles secondary, that is not outside the realm of possibility. The secret to Jones and Baker's rookie touchdown setting pace? Both rookies did it without Odell Beckham Jr. on the roster, and neither played a full season. Jones has only started 11 games this year, and assuming the Giants keep continuity with their coaching staff, I think we'll have a much better sophomore season than Baker Mayfield did. After Harry Dunn levels of shitting on the Giants draft, it's time to recognize that they might actually have hit with Jones, Dexter Lawrence, and Darius Slayton. And yes, Marshawn Lynch officially signed with the Seattle Seahawks. Will Keys and I discussed that on our podcast yesterday. So if you want to hear our really invigorating thoughts, go fucking check that out, I guess. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna. If you want to follow me on those social media platforms and talk football or give me the results of your latest medical exam, I will tell you how long you're gonna live. It's one of the things I'm great at.